This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Hey everybody, Dan Mannarino here for Pop Daily. It is Tuesday, July 8th, and I am joined, we have a live guest here, right? We never have live guests. Usually everything is virtual here. So let's talk about what we're going to be discussing today with Commissioner Louis Molina. You may know him from being on the show previously as the Corrections Commissioner.
Yes.
But you've made the switch. You've gone over to DCAS.
Yes.
So let's talk about what that is first and foremost.
Well, DCAS, as it's affectionately known, is the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and what we're predominantly known for is managing the city's examinations for city jobs and our civil service system, but we're so much more than just that. We manage the city's real estate portfolio and leasing process for city agencies. We support the city's procurement process, which is over about $1 billion a year in spend in goods and services. We also manage the city's energy. So we're talking about installing solar and overseeing our city's climate plan to bring out greenhouse gas emissions, as well as the city's fleet.
So you're a year into this now, right? You made the switch a year ago.
Yes.
So happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Why make the switch?
Well, it was an interesting opportunity. The former commissioner, Dawn Pinnock, had retired, and their vacancy had come up. DCAS is a very critical agency to city operations to keep all of our agencies supported to accomplish their core missions. I had a number of conversations with people within the cabinet, as well as the mayor, of course, who makes the decision on who can become commissioner. And I think I had a set of well-rounded skills that could complement the position at DCAS.
So let's talk about some of the things that kind of fall under your purview. You mentioned one of them, which was civil employees, right?
Yes.
I had Chief John Shell on the PIX Morning News this morning. He was talking about the need for more officers. Now that is really the NYPD when it comes to the police officers, but there are civil employees within the NYPD as well. How do you go about recruiting and bringing people on board? Because he was talking about how recruitment is a big issue right now.
Yes. Yeah, so I think recruitment is a big issue throughout the city. We currently have about 19,000 vacancies. So anybody looking for work should go to jobs.nyc.gov to see about the city's opportunities. Police officers, like any other position in the city, is a civil service employee of the city of New York. We worked with the NYPD to try to make sure that we are making sure that we have the appropriate minimum requirements and skills needed for someone to join the police department. We are waiving the test examination fee for the exams over the summer. And we're doing a lot of digital ad recruitment and things like that to reach where the employees could possibly be to join the NYPD.
What do you see, though, as the problem with recruiting NYPD?
Well, I think the work environment, not only for the police department, but across all of city government, has changed drastically since COVID. And people have other definitions of what they feel their work-life balance should be, right? So I don't think it's exclusively an NYPD issue.
Yeah.
And the NYPD is a very, very tough job, right? I mean, you're home, working normally on holidays. There's a lot of public sacrifice with being a civil servant in general, but that much more for a law enforcement officer. But
there wasn't always a recruitment problem. This is a relatively new post-COVID world of recruitment issues, right? So you're waiving the fee here, but is it that people don't want the job? Is it that they don't pay enough? Is it that police get a bad rap? Is it all the above?
Well, I think it's a lot of, one is I think the police compensation is pretty competitive. I was a police officer for many, many years, so I thought the salary was competitive. I think we have a very competitive pension plan.
Yeah.
I think the generation of workers are redefining what work life means for them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a big thing out of the post-COVID world. We also have done a better job in reaching workers where they're at through our hiring halls, which are managed by NYC Talent and the New York City Small Business Services. We support those, and we're going to neighborhoods throughout the city. And we want our communities to be part of the solution that they want for policing and other things in government today.
So how's it going?
I think it's going pretty well. We have had more engagement with different sectors of the communities throughout the city, connecting them to city jobs, not only jobs with the city, but if we look at the hiring halls, also jobs that are at nonprofit and in the private sector as well.
Is there a residency requirement?
For the NYPD? Yeah, so there's a residency requirement for most city jobs. That expands outside of the city as well, right? So you could be a resident of Westchester, Rockland, Suffolk County, Nassau County.
And still be a police officer.
And still be a police officer, yes.
Okay, but not New Jersey.
Not in the state of New Jersey, because there's a public officers law that prohibits that.
Okay, now do lifeguards fall under your purview?
Well, the lifeguards work for the Parks Department.
Okay.
So they will be hired directly by the Parks Department. We play a role in many of the civil service processes when we're looking at minimum qualification requirements, but the hiring of the lifeguard process will be managed by the Parks Department.
Yeah, you said 19,000 openings, vacancies. That sounds like a lot.
Yes.
So I guess, is it that people just don't want to work for the city? Why such a high number?
Yeah, so I think we've had a lot of retirements, right? Our workforce is hovering around 300,000. Pre-COVID, we were probably around like 330,000 workers. People retire, people make different decisions in their professional journey. Again, COVID can't be discounted for a lot of those vacancies. And there's, as we know, our economy is very robust now, significantly better today than what it was coming just out of COVID under the administration. So, people do also have a lot of options. So we are competing in the marketplace for a limited number of workers.
Okay, I want to talk about something that happened that PIX 11 paid close attention to, and that was with ACS. There were a couple things going on here. There was this Bronx caregiver, 24-year-old Lakeisha Jackson. She had struck children that she was watching 58 times. Now, ACS, I know, has their own commissioner, their own entity, right? This was a contracted service through ACS. Is that something that you pay attention to and look at?
Yeah, so whenever there's anything that happens in the city, as an agency head, you should sort of make awarenesses of how could you do something to sort of strengthen your processes for vetting and especially if it's contract work. So to your specific example, I would refer you to ACS for specifics about that. We don't directly manage the service contracts that are provided by the respective agencies throughout the cities. That would be something that's managed directly by ACS.
Okay, but do you have any role in ACS in hiring of their regular caseworkers that aren't contracted?
Well, yeah, so we're talking about regular city workers. If we give an examination for ACS jobs, then we will be developing those exams. We would be just doing the examination, grading them, and coming out with lists that ACS would use to hire those employees.
Got it. So let's talk about this other big issue that you pay close attention to. You brought it up at the top, and that is handling. It's not the most sexy topic here, but it's handling of city leases.
Yes.
And there was an article in the City, which is an organization, a journalistic organization, that had this story about the relocation of the Department of Aging, and how there was this Jesse Hamilton who was appointed by the mayor to handle this specific case and other leases as well. And it's now being investigated by the Department of Investigation. Can you kind of lay out what happened here and if there was any wrongdoing?
Sure. So based on not only my review, but the mayor's review, the mayor's Office of Risk Management's review, there was nothing that I saw that was inappropriate that was done by Deputy Commissioner Hamilton. He oversees all of real estate services, and he reports directly to myself and an executive deputy commissioner. The Department of Aging needed to move. They're in a very aging space that needs significant renovation. And we went through a process to locate what space might be the best programmatic fit, not only for the clients that aging serves, but also for its workforce.
So let's break that down. Hold on one second, right? So originally it was 250 Broadway.
Well, 250 was one of the competitors that were under consideration.
So how did it end on Wall Street?
Well, because it's a negotiation process. The real estate environment, whether in the public or the private sector, is very fluid. And we have to make sure at the Department of Citywide Administrative Services that we're getting the best deal for city taxpayers. And what 14 Wall Street represented was tens of millions of dollars in savings to city's taxpayers to move the department there. In addition, the city not having to build out office spaces because the office spaces could be reutilized that already existed at 14 Wall Street.
So you did an internal inquiry.
Yes.
The mayor's office did an inquiry.
Yes.
But the Department of Investigation has yet to release their findings.
Yeah, I don't know what the Department of Investigation is doing, so you'd have to go to them to find out what the status of whatever may be going on. I do not know if or not there's actually an investigation by the Department of Investigations.
So, I'm kind of always saying where there's smoke, there's fire. If there's so many inquiries and there's an investigation going on, can you see why people may think there was something here?
Well, I think that if that's all that is being reported, then I can understand why people may have the perception that something inappropriate may be going on. But our real estate team worked really, really hard. They went through a process where they evaluated what was the best deal for the city, and that led to tens of millions of dollars in savings to taxpayers.
How much?
My estimation will probably be close to, if not over 30 million.
Instead of 250?
Yes.
And so that was the reason you chose that specific spot?
That, along with that, it fed a lot of the programmatic needs of the Department of the Aging. It was also the preference of the Department of the Aging to go to 14 Wall Street. Now, sometimes agencies don't always get their preferences because that's not going to That's part of the thinking of moving an agency to a preferred location, but we have to make sure that it makes sense for the taxpayers too.
Okay, so when do they move?
So we're in the process of finalizing the execution of that lease. So hopefully they'll be moving by sometime next year, I would imagine.
Okay, so and then once the Department of Investigation wraps up, they'll put out their findings, and then you'll respond accordingly. So what else? What else should people know about what DCAS is doing at this current moment to make city life better for them?
Oh, so we're doing a lot in the area of climate. We've expanded the use of electric vehicles. We're at just over 5,500 EV vehicles in the city. Mm-hmm. We have over 2,200 electrical vehicle chargers, which represents probably one of the largest municipal charging networks in America. We're lowering greenhouse gas emissions with our installation of solar, so make sure that we're going to clean energy. So we're doing a lot of work at DCAS.
So you had to switch a lot of the city's fleet from gas vehicles to EV.
Yeah, about 5,500 we've done so far. We've also transitioned the heavy duty fleet to renewable diesel, which is a much more better fuel for our heavy duty fleet. And our fleet is almost like just over 28,000 vehicles. Mm-hmm. So our fleet is large. We've transitioned the Staten Island Ferry. We just got recently our first barge delivery. So that's all on renewable diesel. So we're looking to expand other boat fleets within the city to renewable diesel. And in addition to that, we just did our Education Propelling into Careers program, right? Where we identified that a number of city employees didn't accomplish their high school equivalency. And what we did was we worked in partnership with Metropolitan College of New York, where we have city workers. Our first pilot was with DCAS. We've recently opened that up to all city agencies, where 1 day a week, city employees can go to Metropolitan College if they're in the program. Not only can they get their high school equivalency, but they get 27 college credits, which opens the doors to a lot of careers for them.
Well, I was going to say, out of those 19,000, are there some jobs within DCAS or some of the applications that don't need a college degree?
There are many.
Yeah.
And when we went through our minimum qualification review, that was one of the big assessments the mayor had asked us, are we demanding too much for somebody to have an entry-level job? So we evaluated just over 90 different job titles to date. Over 60 were impacted by that review, which impacted just over 50,000 jobs in the city. So it's meaningful, and it's creating job opportunities and pathways for people that in prior times didn't have it.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Good to talk to you.
Good to see you again.
And I want you to come back. I want you to keep us posted, because 19,000 jobs is a big number.
Yes.
I know you're going to work hard to get some of those numbers down. And so I want to keep posted.
And jobs.nyc.gov, a lot of opportunities are there, either with you're starting your career, a mid-career professional, or even someone who's had a career but is looking to come back into the workforce. We are a very age-inclusive city. There's a lot of opportunity in the city of New York.
Okay, Commissioner Molina, great to have you here. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, and that's going to do it for us here on Pop Daily. We'll see you back here tomorrow.